Hello and welcome to this week's video. This week we're going to discuss the cost of living in the van, and that's a really difficult question to answer, and I'll explain why. Firstly, the cost of insurance depends on your driving history, your license history, convictions, points and stuff like that. So the cost of what you're going to pay on your insurance and how long you've had your license for will be a big issue. I've had my license for over 30 years and I've got no points and convictions, so I'm basing it on that. So yours may be different. Right, so the cost of insurance for me is £1,480 per year. I paid it in one lump sum to avoid any interests. You obviously can pay off monthly for that if you needed to, but the cost of that insurance is also based on my yearly mileage, which is 15,000 miles. The whole point of me living in a van is that I want to travel, so having a low number of mileage would be pointless for me. So yeah, I've got 15,000 miles coverage. I've also got full-time year-round touring of both England, UK and Europe basically, and that would also depend on the cost. That would also have a big input on what you're going to pay. Another big consideration is the value of the van. The van is currently valued at £55,000, and that has had a big increase on my yearly insurance premium. I was paying £800 per year, and the van was valued at £48,500. That's what I paid for the van. In the last few years, the van has increased in value, and a second-hand van in my van's condition is over £55,000, probably getting on for £60,000 in value. So I've obviously had to increase the value of the van, and that's a bit of an odd one because I've never known anybody in my lifetime to increase the vehicle's value after they've taken it out the showroom. Normally you lose value as soon as you take it out the showroom and start driving it, as soon as you start putting mileage on it. But I've actually increased the value of the van, or the van's value has increased by about £10,000 or more over the last couple of years, probably due to the COVID situation. So that's the biggest outlay yearly bill, is the insurance. Next up would be the tax. My yearly tax bill is £290. I think most vans are valued at that sort of tax bracket. That's a Euro 6 engine. What else is there? The MOT is £50, and for the first 3 years I didn't need an MOT. So this is the first year that I've needed an MOT, and that's £50. The service is £250 per year. That's done every 2 years, so it works out £500 every 2 years. That's done at the main dealer, and it has to be done at the main dealer or at a garage that can sign off the service record for the warranty. So that cost will drop soon, because I won't be paying, the van won't be under warranty, and I'll be doing the service myself. So that will lower in the near future. Sorry, I've got ants crawling on me. I'm sitting underneath this tree, and there's ants going up and down it, and they're crawling on me every now and again. Right, so that's the insurance, tax, and MOT covered. That's your main biggest outlays. Now, if your van isn't valued at any sort of high cost, I guess most vans are going to be between, I don't know, 10 grand, 10, 20 grand. So obviously your insurance is going to be much lower, because your value isn't going to be as much. But one of my hold on, my food, let me go over the food. My food is about 50 to 60 pounds per week on food, and I do eat fairly well. I cook most nights, every night, and I have stuff like steaks, fish, and just about anything I want to buy from the shop. I don't actually look at the prices, I just buy what I feel like buying. So yeah, that's my food bill. I could obviously get that down cheaper if I needed to, or I could increase it if I started buying a lot of alcohol. So again, that is a personal cost that you could adjust to your own taste, really. Oh, LPG gas. I just thought of one. LPG gas. I pay about £1 per day for LPG, and that's because the fridge runs on LPG. So yeah, about £1 a day, £7 per week is LPG. So yeah, the living in a van question is quite a personal one. Oh, and I almost forgot. Washing. What does it cost for washing? I spend about £20 a month washing clothes, drying clothes, and that's it really. There's very little other costs. Right now, the whole purpose of me living in a van is I want to travel. I don't want to be stuck in one area, and I travel every weekend, almost every weekend, without doubt, all year round. So that is going to cost me a fair bit. On my annual holidays, I also travel. So the diesel cost is going to be my biggest outlay. And what I'm currently paying in diesel now per week is between 120 and 200 pound per week in diesel. And that's because I'm traveling every weekend, and I'm traveling again on my annual leave. I'm also traveling around the UK. If I was to sit still for weeks on end or months on end, obviously that I wouldn't incur that cost and I could save money. But the whole point of me being in the van isn't to save money, it's actually to be free and to be traveling. So that's why I've got quite an high diesel cost. Right, now I did say, I think I said that I'm going to put this into perspective, or I hope I did. Right, so to put this into perspective now, which I didn't see anybody else do this on their videos, is what would it cost me to live in this area if I didn't have the van? So now that to me is what matters. So if I lived in this area, this is where I work, E15, Stratford E15, London. Now if I lived in this area in a rented room, it would cost me about £800 per month. That's to rent a room, a shared room with other people, a shared flat should I say, with other people. I'll have a private room obviously. £800 per month. If I was to rent a flat, a one-bed flat, now the cost of renting a flat would be between £1,500 and £2,000. And I've just looked that up on some of the Rightmove sites and sort of house rental sites to get an idea of what the costs would be. So putting things into perspective, the cost of living in the van, even with the high insurance, because the insurance is out, the insurance would be the same sort of value of a monthly rent bill. You can see the advantage of being in the van over renting. Now if I rented a room, a flat, I'd probably end up with no money to travel at all. I'd be traveling very little because most of my money would be going on food and living. So yeah, that should sort of put things into perspective of what it would cost to live in London if I didn't live in the van, and considering that I do. And that's what makes the biggest difference for me. Yeah, so you could look at it that the diesel costs seem quite high, but when you take into account the rental costs, then you start to sort of see they are not high at all. I'm paying the same amount in diesel per month as what I could be paying in rent, and I'm getting to go different places every weekend, where if I was renting I'd be sat indoors watching TV, I guess, like everybody else, playing computer games. So that's the difference living in a van makes to me, and that's the reason I do it, basically. I guess you've also got to take into account repairs, anything else that goes wrong with the van. But as my van is new, or fairly new, it's 3 years old now, I've had no repairs, no breakdowns, no other costs. Oh, that's another consideration. The breakdown cost is also in with my insurance. My insurance also covers me for breakdown and recovery. Yeah, any other sort of, I don't know, punctures, I guess. I've had one puncture, which cost £25 to be repaired. I guess as things start to wear out on the van over time, as the van gets a bit older, things will start to wear out and I will start to incur other costs. I'm racking my brains for what else I pay, and I can't think of anything. So yeah, I hope this has sort of give you some idea of what it costs to live in a van, but like I say, it's going to be based basically on your own lifestyle, on your own driving history. So it's almost an impossible question to answer fairly and accurately for other people, because if you've just passed your test and got a new license, everything's going to be totally different for you. If your driving history has got points and convictions on your license, again, everything is going to be totally different for you. So that's what makes this question almost pointless answering it, really, isn't it? The only thing I would say is that you need to get an idea of what your insurance is going to be, because that's going to be one of the highest costs, and then consider how many miles you're going to be traveling, because that is also going to be your next highest cost. Like I said, I've got ants crawling on me from the tree. Yeah, so I've tried to answer this as fairly and accurately as I possibly can, even though it is still quite vague, really, isn't it? Oh yes, the giveaway, the Victron giveaway. Right, I've got the names in my phone, and I'll just get this up. Right, I've put the names into an app on my phone, so I thought that would be the fairest way of doing it rather than trying to pick out a bit of paper. So here goes. Ready? Choose names. Take me now. Oh, there you go. Rebecca Davis. That's you. That's the winner. I'm not sure what you've actually chosen as a prize, whether it's the B2B or the solar charge controller. But I've had a few people tell me that I'm taking too long to give it away. So there you go. Somebody's won it. I'll put the details in the video here. If you email me, and I'll get that posted off to you, whichever one you like. So yeah, I think that's a wrap for this week's video. Bit of an odd one, because like I say, it's personal to me. It doesn't really help you out, because your bills and your costs will be totally different to mine. And you may not want to travel half as much as me, and you might not have a girlfriend that lives in the other half of the country. So yeah, thanks for watching, thanks for taking the time, thanks for all you guys that have subscribed, and don't forget to hit the notification bell, give us a thumbs up, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care.